Have you ever replayed conversations in your head thinking, if I had said that differently, if I hadn't pushed, if I had been more patient, they wouldn't have picked up that drink? Do you lose sleep or check out at work because you're replaying those scenarios? If so, this video is for you. Spoiler, you didn't cause the drinking, but there are very real reasons why it feels like you did. And once you understand them, you'll be better able to step out of those thought spirals. Welcome to Al-Anon X. My name is Finn. My pronouns are he, him. You didn't cause the drinking, but alcoholism trains you to feel responsible for it. Alcoholism, it's really good at blurring the lines of cause and effect. And after a fight, it may look like the fight caused the drinking. And after there's a stressful situation, it looks like the stress caused the drinking. The alcoholic often explicitly blames other people or situations for their drinking. This is because they are in denial of the problem and their thinking becomes distorted. Most likely the person you love is battling a compulsion to drink, and the things that you're doing to help have not led to sobriety. You may feel guilty because you notice the patterns. You notice how stress and conflict are associated with drinking. You look at the constant conflicts and fights, and your brain is desperately trying to connect the dots. And the voice in your head says, "This must be on me." You may have noticed that you're constantly trying not to upset the drinker, not to push too hard, not to bring things up at the wrong time. I used to do exactly the same thing. And eventually it can start to feel like the other person's drinking is a reflection on how well you have behaved. And that report card is always full of failing grades. So you desperately want things to get better, but nothing seems to work. But you don't have to believe these accusations. You did not force anyone to drink. Alcoholism works from the inside out. The urge to drink is already there inside the alcoholic. Life just becomes the excuse. If it wasn't for that argument that they picked with you, they would find something else. And in this case, the guilt that you're feeling probably doesn't indicate a failure on your part. It is more of an indication that you are becoming sick from being around compulsive behavior, compulsive drinking, and the distorted thinking. Perhaps you have wanted to believe that you caused the drinking because in that situation, you might have some power over it. And you might have some hope for the future if you thought you could control it. This video is going to try to help you shift your thinking around that. You do not have any power over the drinking, but there is hope for the future. You do have influence in relationships, and when one person in the family gets recovery, it may change many of the unhealthy dynamics that help sustain the drinking. Alcoholism may have trained you to take the blame, and that has happened gradually without you noticing. And now it's going to take some time and effort to reprogram those thoughts. It's not going to happen overnight, but let's start with some simple exercises. Next time you get into an argument or the alcoholic decides to take a drink, instead of engaging in your usual way, go to a quiet place and ask yourself 3 questions. 1, do I feel guilty about decisions that are not mine, such as someone else's drinking or the negative consequences that come from it? 2, does my guilt cause me to clean up messes and take responsibility for things that are not mine? And 3, what are my own responsibilities in this moment? Have I taken care of my most basic needs for food, sleep, and human connection? I'll give you an example of how this might play out. So one example was my alcoholic partner has overslept again. He's going to be late for work. I'm already anticipating what bad things are going to happen to us. in our finances. If he's late, maybe he gets fired. I'm feeling guilty that I'm awake and I have not woken him up. What if he blames me because I was awake and I didn't try to help? I tell myself, I'll just wait a few more minutes. But in this moment, I know that if I don't change my thinking, in a few minutes, I'm going to go wake him up and I'm going to assume the responsibility for him being on time. And this is the opportunity that I have in this moment when I pause to not give in to those guilt feelings. At this point, I can ask myself those three questions and maybe have a different thought. Oh, wait, it's not my job to get him to work on time. And in my obsession over this, I have neglected to get myself ready for my day, to take care of my needs. So I'll be ready to work and be successful. So maybe I can let him sleep while I actually get myself out the door. Now, this is easier said than done, but this will help you get the picture. Taking a pause and asking some simple questions can make a big difference. But, sometimes those guilt feelings return even after we've talked ourselves out of taking responsibility for someone else's choices. So, like, what then? I would say you could also try repeating one sentence, like really slowly, almost like a mantra. And that sentence is, I didn't cause this. And I'm allowed to feel sad that I couldn't prevent it. You may not immediately feel better, but trust that this thought will sink in if you say it enough, and over time, you may begin to believe it. In closing, the situation you're faced with may be horribly painful right now, but if you're willing to put the focus on yourself, something good can come of it. You can learn to love yourself in a way that you never thought possible. Keep coming back and check out my next video where I will talk about why trying harder often makes things worse and what actually starts to bring relief. Take care.